racist USA, no Trump. No KKK, no Nazis, racist USA, no Trump. No KKK, no Nazis, racist USA.
From north to south, from east to west, get out Arpaio, wherever it takes. From north to south, from east to west, go out Arpaio, wherever it takes. From north to south, from east to west, go out Arpaio, wherever it takes. From north to south, from east to west, go out Arpaio, wherever it takes. What do we want? Justice! What do we want it now? What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want
Now!
The people united will never be divided.
The people united will never be divided. The people united will never be divided. The people united will never be divided.
And the people united
Will never be divided.
the people
United will never be divided.
the people
United will never be divided.
the people
United will never be divided.
the people
United will never be divided.
and the people
United will never be divided.
the people
United will never be divided.
the people
United will never be divided.
We got the power, we got the power, welcome the power. Oh, we don't need power. We got the power. We got the power. What kind of power?
Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power. Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power. What kind of power? Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power. Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power. We got the power. Community power.
We got the power.
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Community power.
From north to south, from east to west, get out Arpaio, wherever we can. From north to south, from east to west,
Get out Arpaio.
wherever we can. From north to south, from east to west, get out Arpaio, wherever we can. From north to south, from east to west, get out Arpaio, wherever we
Sir, please be cautious in the roadway. Thank you. Those are beautiful here. Very nice.
No Trump. No KKK. No Nazis. Racist USA. No Trump. No KKK. No Nazis. Racist USA. No Trump. No KKK. No Nazis. Racist USA. No Trump. No KKK. No Nazis.
Take a picture of you.
Who are you with?
You got a YouTube channel, it's John Doe 13K.
Oh.
So I do anything helpful and positive. Civic, social, environmental justice oriented.
I've seen your name on Indivisible.
Okay. Yeah, I put it on all the Democrat channels. I guess I'm going to try to put it on the as well.
Okay. People need a little bit of media help to get their arms up.
Yes. In fact, I was just getting a little peekaboo of those people over there.
You got it.
So they got to blast their music to drown us out.
Oh, I didn't. Oh,
And did you hear that? They're playing trumpets already. So were they on Latinos or something? I mean, I don't get it.
Oh, they have a mariachi band.
Oh, great. Is that us?
Yeah, there's us over there
close.
too. Yeah, they have a mariachi band.
That's us. All
Yeah,
right,
so
all
that's
right.
going to be really good video.
I gotta jump over there too.
No
There's part 2 over there. They got me action down over there. All right. So that's on me. I'm going to jump over there.
Hey, sorry to hear you backed out, man.
Well, you know,
next time.
But no, it's actually more solidarity than just backing out. So you know,
I like it.
Yeah, right.
I love it, man. Good deal.
Excuse me! Please stay out of the roadway! Thank you!
Right? How you been, man?
Anybody for president?
At this point,
Yeah, I'm not running for nothing.
Well, at least you get to feel a welcome.
Yeah, so look.
So you guys got progressive games this Thursday?
Night.
Oh, it is.
Hello, folks.
Hi.
Can I ask you to move your setup somewhere other than here? We can't have people in the roadway. We have cars U-turning here. They're going to clip you if you're not careful. And it would be better if you set up over there on that side of the curb, or behind this curb.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's that whole lane right there, and it's like,
I don't want to have to ask you twice. I'll have the sheriff come and talk to you if you can't move off of the roadway. I'm talking about the roadway. The asphalt roadway. Can you please move off?
you know, I need to be able to see people's faces.
Sir, you have options.
You go ahead and do what you need to do. Go ahead. Go ahead. That's just your jerky attitude all the way. Go ahead.
So when the sheriff comes and says the same thing,
For this right here, out of the roadway, there's a whole
thing there.
You know, that's more than a car width right there.
You know, by people making U-turns.
No, this guy's just being a little too free with his authority. It's ridiculous. I do want to check out part 2.
Can you walk over there?
Yeah.
We're supposed to walk over there pretty soon. No, we can't.
Okay. Oh, so everybody collectively just figured it out.
I think so.
Well, it's getting pretty close to that time.
Yeah.
This guy just, oh my word. What kind of deal do you think this guy even has? I mean, for real?
Huh?
That guy gets paid, he doesn't get paid enough to be so authoritarian.
Protesting against his wait right here. Hi.
Hey Joe, how you doing?
thingies that he's violated the civil rights of so many Hispanic immigrants in Arizona. And the ladies said, this is a quote, they wanted to, it was an educational, fun experience, and they wanted to know about how he ran the county. And we're like, this is so we're not.
Yeah, I was like, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Diverse and be able to have this kind of future. Everything that he's done in Arizona is not what we stand for here.
Do you think he is racist?
I think he is. He has some very strong beliefs that he's probably carried with him throughout his life, and they don't reflect the Latino Hispanic community. And because he was in a position of power, he was able to exert some of those biases and his bigotry, and I think he took it too far. If you want, I would say he's racist because he just targeted Latino people in Arizona. So, Oh, definitely. We're not that they invited him. He has the right to say what he wants to say. They have the right to hear. I saw that. And just like he has the right to speak and protest and show that we're a diverse community and we don't stand here for Monterey County, South in the Central Coast.
Thank you so much. I need to go back and say.
I remember you now.
You came to my house and
You know what?
And anyway, I'm glad to see you here.
All right.
And
well, first of all, I've lived in Carmel Valley for 31 years. I'm raising my kids here. Joe Arpaio is a criminal and a racist. And the thing that really got me was he compared his tent city to a concentration camp. He was proud of it. My father was one of the first 10 Americans to walk into a concentration camp in World War II, Order. And he had all the photographs of his intelligence. You do not joke about it.
thank you so much.
De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajarillos que vienen de afuera. De colores es el arco iris que vemos lucir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Canta el gallo con el kirikiri, kirikiri. La gallina con el cara, 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 cara. Los polluelos con el pío, 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 pío. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Échale más, otra vez. Do it again, vamos. Canten conmigo, sing with me everybody, otra vez de colores. Si pueden cantar, que van obras.
next speaker is Chago, a high school friend of my comadre ID who could not be here but wrote a poem for today's event, which I'll be reading to you later. Chago, there you are.
Buenos días. ¿Cómo estamos? ¿Todo bien? Okay, are we ready? Are we ready for our voices to be heard? Are we ready to stand together? Are we ready to pull back this lettuce curtain? Alright, we know that we know what land we're standing on. We are standing on Esalen land. The Esalen people of this land. This is their home. And we are visitors here. And we now see each other, stand with each other, and look to each other as neighbors on this land. We've come for so many reasons, right? All of these opportunities that have drawn us over here, right? Within these boundaries that we call America, the United States of America. But what's the story? What's the history? What are the reasons? What are the motivations? Why? Do we get to ask ourselves that? Do we get to learn that? Do we get to walk into the schools and pick up a book and begin to learn about what proud people we come from? We don't. We don't get to do that. At least some of us actually do, but for the most part, it's a struggle. We had to get to a 4-year institution and pay the money to learn about our own background, our own ethnicity, about our own struggles. When we can learn this, we can learn truth at birth. We can learn the stories and the struggles of what it took for us to get here, for what it took for our parents, their sacrifices, our grandparents, our great-grandparents. This history, this timeline, it brought us to where we are today. That struggle for story, that struggle of the narrative, of claiming our own narrative. And finding where we come together in these intersections, where we get to share food, where we get to share pan, comida, something to drink, stories, historia. That's the only thing we have. So what's the story today? What side of history are we going to stand on? The side of love, the right side, right? The just, the side of the just. I rode with a team called Bactun 12 from the east side of Salinas. And we put together plays, stories about our neighborhood. You know, for the first time in my life, I never realized how many hard-working champions, sheroes and heroes came from my neighborhood. Because for a lot of us, when we put the words East and Salinas together, images of propagated media come up about the violence, about the crime, the despair. But who's telling these stories? People who are actually making a living off of that. We got to take the time to start learning from our own neighbors. Sit and share more stories. I found out about one of the first women superintendents in the state of California. Her name was Virginia Walker Barton, daughter of Italian immigrants, just like so-and-so over here. son of Italian immigrants. Someone get a fact check on that middle name of his. It reminds me of that time when people were trying to bring up Barack Obama's middle name. Anyways. Larry Hosford, country western singer, rock and roller. He grew up, he was from the Alice style, he grew up there, and he stayed there. The man died there on Orchard Street in East Salinas, on the east side, in the deep east. And I never knew any of that. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about my own, like, immediate neighbors, los vecinos, que organizaron to get a voter registration, to get people to vote in the early 70s, mid 70s, that understood that the county of Monterey was one of the ones in violation of the Voting Rights Act of the mid 60s. One of 4 counties in the state of California. What did they do? They organized, they did what they could to make sure that they were going to get people there on election day. Still a struggle. We're still having a hard time getting to the polls, even though we're registered, even though we qualify to vote. What is that all about? When a system that doesn't work for a certain population, it becomes evident what has to happen. So, I want to share this poem with you. Before that, I'd like to invite you all to the east side of Salinas. This Saturday, we are a theater company, and we're doing our best to put together. If you can take one, pass them out that way, please. There's some flyers going around. We're doing a fundraiser. We need our own support. We need the community to come out. Come to Alisal High School Saturday at 5 p.m. and come and sit for a reading, this fundraiser event, a reading of 2 plays. The first one called Mi Abuelito Fue Bracero, based on interviews like the ones that we shared with, the ones that we took part in with Blanca Sarasua. Where is she at? Blanca? She here? She's a representative for the Mexican consulate. Anyway, she's gonna come up pretty soon, right? Am I right? Yes, okay, yes. Her father's story, my father's story, grandfather's stories, los sacrificios de los braceros que llegaron en los años 40 y 50 y 60. So many of us that came from that, and they're now here, part of this system, part of this experience. Okay, so this is it. This is what it's called, the people for president. War for sale, war buddy? Hey, that ain't funny, but why you think they sell it? To shake that money. Well, who said that? Some big time company. They've been pushing it for years to profit off of fears, because when things get hard, they say, buy more cars. Yeah, that we're gonna need gas, so we ain't getting far. Make us suck a third world soul as a patriotic goal. My abuelita said the same when they stole Mexico. Just ask your own homies, your neighbors, and your tíos. The people should be president of los Estados Unidos! Well then, hey, let's take a poll. We went and asked constituents around the barrio. This many of the homies were like, what? And this many were like, nah, I don't know, man. But then this many said, pretty good, homes. We can run this country, yo, and we can do it without getting all unilateral, fool. Well then, friends, homies, paisas, countrymen, if we can all just do ourselves a favor and start voting for president right here, right now, and tell these old school politicos to throw in the towel, because the time has come to take back our pueblos, to remove the mal gobiernos, make our voices heard on all kinds of other levels. Because ya además, haven't we had enough of them cheating, lying federals, putting their crusty old dedos, cutting power tripping pedos, and everybody's land from here to somewhere pretty freaking lejos. laws? And what about those of us all strung out on upper class leftovers? Let's dismantle them trickle-down bone throwers, those nickel-and-dime peace posers, and all them homeland insecurity acting holy rollers. For the next presidential election, the strongest candidate will be us. The one, the many, the pueblo. Thank you very much.
So let's give it up for our next speaker, Siobhan Wolf.
I am not a public speaker. This whole thing started as a joke on Facebook, and but people rallied around and said, yeah, do it. I've lived in Carmel Valley for 31 years and I'm raising 3 kids here, and Joe Arpaio is a racist and a criminal, and the thing that makes me so angry about him, my father was one of the first 10 Americans to ever walk into a concentration camp in World War II. He passed away a few years ago, and he was in intelligence, and he had boxes and boxes of the photographs he took of the Holocaust, which I uploaded to the Holocaust Museum. But when this, I want to say a 4-letter word, brags about his prisons being concentration camps, not in Carmel Valley. We do not accept that here. And we don't accept it in Monterey County, and we don't accept it in California, and we shouldn't accept it in the United States of America. So thank you all for coming out. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Siobhan, for bringing us together. And all those of you who are here today, thank you very much. So now we have Jesse Vallejo. Jesse, please come on up.
Go, Jesse!
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Congressman Panetta was supposed to be here to speak. I'm clearly not Congressman Panetta. But thank you all for being here this morning. It's great to see a huge turnout. Congressman Panetta would like me to share the following remarks with you. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. By showing up, by standing up, and by speaking out, you are demonstrating what democracy is all about. You are demonstrating what our home and our communities are about on the Central Coast. Our home is unique and it is strong because it is diverse. Our diversity comes in the form of our politics, the languages we speak, and the different heritages. But we all share our Central Coast values of honesty, integrity, and goodness. That is why we're all here today, to let a person who has come into our community know that he is so counter to our collective values. His own state of Arizona has rejected him, and now it's our turn to not only reject him, but to protest him. Because we know that our nation is enhanced and empowered by those who take the risk to come here and contribute to our economy, our communities, and our culture. From your presence here today, I know that you believe the same. So I ask you, take this energy, take this momentum, and not just speak up, but stand up and start walking to the voting booth. Make your voices heard in the most important ways so that we can drown out the voice of this man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. But more importantly, thank you for speaking out. Thank you very much, everybody.
of applause for our music, our mariachis. Gracias, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. And now, Blanca Sarasúa.
Buenos días. Good morning, everyone. My name is Blanca Sarasúa, and this is a photo of my father and my grandfather, Quintil. In 1945, my father, Aquilino, came to the U.S. from Santa Catarina, Guanajuato, Mexico. He came to work as a bracero, or guest worker in Tulare, California, a small town outside Salinas. My father came to Carmel Valley before there was a paved Carmel Valley road. So do the math. My mother, Ampelia, was the daughter of the cook at the labor camp, and she eventually came to the U.S. after leaving her hometown of Huejucar, Jalisco, Mexico. We are standing on what used to be an artichoke ranch before it became a golf course. My father worked on that artichoke ranch. My parents, my sisters, and I lived on the former Odello Ranch, just down the road in the little red homes that are still there. I was born at the old Chomp on Highway 1. I started my formal education at Tularcitos, then Carmel Middle School, and finally graduated from Carmel High. I went on to earn a college degree and 3 graduate degrees. I have been a lawyer for over 30 years. And I have served as Honorary Consul of Mexico for over 15 years. This county embraced immigrants like the Panettas. From that family came a highly decorated and respected Secretary of the Defense and Director of the CIA. This county helped an immigrant named Rosa Elena, a victim of human trafficking, escape her aggressors, and pursue studies at Hartnell College. She has published 3 books in this country. This county believed in an immigrant family.
Love you. Thank you.
With the name Sarasúa, and supported a young girl's dream of earning a formal education and of becoming a lawyer. My experience is that this county supports and embraces immigrants. My experience is that a gardener and a domestic worker were able to educate their 3 daughters. My experience is that Monterey County has a richness in its people that cannot be measured using traditional criteria. As a professional, I have provided legal assistance to countless Spanish-speaking individuals. Recently, I represented a DACA recipient who was wrongfully detained by federal immigration officials. I also served as co-counsel in a class action lawsuit brought because certain King City police officers had been systematically stopping many Hispanics, Latinos, for minor infractions. These same police officers misappropriated the vehicles of a very vulnerable population in Monterey County. The U.S. Constitution guarantees certain rights to all people who are in the U.S., irrespective of their immigration status. Our democracy rests upon the rule of law and strict adherence to the Constitution. There are many hardworking individuals throughout the U.S. and Monterey County pursuing justice precisely for those individuals the Constitution seeks to protect. We need these zealous advocates who will build public understanding of and institutional adherence to the rule of law. What are we to do henceforth? What happens mañana? We continue to seek protections under the Constitution. We continue to register to vote and then actually vote. We continue to demand that people be treated with dignity and respect. We continue to demand that people not be treated as animals. Let us choose. Thank you. Let us choose humanity over hatred, compassion over cruelty, knowledge over misinformation, and restraint over provocation. Let us choose pride and strength over fear and humiliation. Today, I hope we light a flame, but not a flame of anger or hate, but rather a flame of hope and solidarity. Let us celebrate immigrants throughout the world, throughout the U.S., and throughout Monterey County. Please indulge me for a couple more minutes. I want to thank, before I continue, those who made this fabulous mariachi possible. Chris Barrera from LULAC Council 2055. Dr. Max Cuevas, Clínica de Salud del Valle de Salinas. I don't know if Max made it out here. And of course our wonderful mariachi, Javier Vargas, Mariachi California. Un aplauso, por favor. Nosotros como migrantes entendemos lo que es respetar, luchar y también sufrir. Celebramos hoy las oportunidades que aún existen en Estados Unidos y en el condado de Monterrey. Nosotros como migrantes venimos a trabajar y a mejorar el futuro para nuestras familias y nuestras comunidades. No somos personas de odio, somos personas de paz y comprensión y de mucho amor. Nosotros como migrantes somos personas de mucha fe y seguiremos con esa fe en nosotros mismos y en el futuro. Nosotros como migrantes seguiremos aportando nuestro esfuerzo y nuestro talento al país entero y al condado de Monterrey. Muchas gracias. ¡Que vivan los migrantes! Thank you. I'd like to now introduce a dear friend, Monterey County Supervisor for District 5, which includes Carmel and Carmel Valley, Supervisor Mary Adams.
When I realized I was going to follow Blanca, I had no idea she was going to be so absolutely eloquent and wonderful. So I have a big task ahead of me, but the primary reason why I wanted to stand here today with all of you is just because I feel if we don't stand up and say no, if we don't stand up and say not here, if we don't stand up and say this is not who we are, then who will? It saddens me that there were people who made a decision to bring someone to our county who does not represent the feelings and the attitudes and the absolute love that all of us who live in Monterey County and particularly here in the 5th District have. I feel like it's important for us to take this forward. We have to make sure that those we love go to the polls, that we register to vote. There's a person over here registering people to vote today. If you can vote, if you can register, if you have children who are just turning 18 and they can vote, please make every effort to get them registered, because this is how we can fight back. This is who we are. We have beautiful sunshine. We have an incredible amount of wealth in our culture, in our music, in our food. We have an incredible amount of love for all of one another. We are a tolerant, inclusive, not divisive community. And we have to stand here today in peace, in joy, and embrace. I thank you all for being here. Welcome to the 5th District. It truly is a beautiful place to be, and I believe all of us represent the true feelings of the people of Monterey County. So thank you so much.
Jalisco, Jalisco, tú tienes tu novia, que es Guadalajara. Muchacha bonita, la perla más rara de todo Jalisco es mi Guadalajara. Y me gusta escuchar los mariachis cantar con el alma sus lindas canciones. Oír cómo suenan esos guitarrones y echarme un tequila con los valentones. Se quiere a la buena porque es peligroso querer a la mala. Por una morena echar mucha bala y gritar viva Jalisco con muchas ganas. En Jalisco se quiere a la buena porque es peligroso querer a la mala. Echar mucha bala, gritar viva Jalisco y Guadalajara. Jalisco, no te rajes, me sale con valor, abrir todo el pecho, echar este grito, qué lindo es Jalisco, palabra de
Thank you to all of our previous speakers. Now we're going to have Margaret Serna Bonetti come up to the stage.
Very good, Elizabeth. She didn't think she could handle that. And there is a test after. Anyway, it's great to see everybody here today. I am a human civil rights activist, born into it through my parents, and like some of the other speakers here, my father was also a bracero, and you know what? I hold it up proud, because some people don't think that's a thing to be proud about, but for me, it absolutely is. There's a big legacy there that they fought for, and how they were discriminated against when they came here, things that they were promised, and they never received. They received a lot of heartache. And one more shout out to my dad, Guadalupe Serna, who was also a member of the teatro, but also an activist with Cesar Chavez, and that is that my father was a plaintiff to get rid of that damn asadón in the field, the cortito, the short-handled hoe, and it is now in the Smithsonian as part of the UFW collection. By the way, as is his song with the teatro, El Corrido del Cortito, which is about coming to this country, hoping for something great, getting hurt, and it didn't turn out so great. And it's a good song because it tells a good story about farm workers. So I am here today because, one of the things I really want to talk about that I think doesn't get discussed enough, and Joe Arpaio being here is part of that, and that is law enforcement. Law enforcement in this country, at the local levels, all the way across, whether it's here in the Salinas Valley, whether it's in Ferguson, Baltimore, Philadelphia, look around. And there is a lot of discrimination going on with people of color, poor people, and just people who stand on the fringes with law enforcement. Our system is a system that is actually built in for that discrimination with the police officers. The police officers, it depends on your experience with the police officer, and it also depends on the color of your skin on how you experience an encounter with a police officer. But I can tell you that for many, like myself, we don't have the same experience. We never have. I have memories, hurtful memories, growing up in the Salinas Valley, being a part of these strikes, these marches, being a part of marches to Sacramento with a Teatro Campesino. As I told somebody, some people get the silver spoon, well, I got the picket sign. And so, when we have these bad experiences, then it leaves us very weary when we encounter police officers. There's always that sort of uncomfortableness when you come across a police officer, because you never know how it's going to go. So you try to be on your best behavior, but you never know how it's going to go. And I have witnessed people who have been beat up in the fields, beat up in the lines, and it's scary. When you're a young child growing up, as myself, I was there when Cesar Chavez was in jail in Salinas. I was there standing next to my parents. I was there when so many things went on, whether it was the lettuce strike, I was a part of that. And my ears were open very wide, as you can see, because I learned a lot from those people back there. And when they romanticize that struggle, I will tell you that you look at the books now and it all seems very romantic. And young people today might think, well, that struggle was not as hard fought as it was. But I can tell you it was very hard fought. People were beat up. They were hungry. They went homeless. They lost their jobs. They were ostracized. And it left a really bad, taste. It left bad memories, and it just sort of, you came out of the other side, either a survivor, a lion, or you came out a lamb and you hid. I came out a lion, as many of you as also came out lions out of that struggle. In Salinas, I've been very involved with the officer-involved shootings, and it's taken me to a place of being involved not just in Salinas, but in the Bay Area and in other areas when it comes to officer-involved shootings. So one of the things that I wanted to discuss is just how that system is so interconnected and how it affects our schools with SROs, which are the resource officers, the school-to-prison pipeline, And again, depending on your experience with police officers, you can come away with a very different idea of what you think about a police officer on campus. But when you're a person of color, and I have served on a high school board, I served on the Salinas Junior High School board, and I can tell you that the majority of the expulsions at the high school were people of color. And we saw it coming to us, and we had a system that was very skewed because the people making those decisions, sitting on those very panels, we had police officers. And we had police officers on our campus, and those police officers, they had access to student records. Something that, I mean, would you put up with a police officer willy-nilly being able to go and look at your student's queue? Well, that's what was going on until we were able to get them off the campus. But now, with everything that's blown up, and police officers making an effort, I'll take them at their word, because the Department of Justice came in to Salinas, and they reviewed their data, and they found 110 areas that they are fault, and 61 recommendations on what they needed to do to clean up their system, because they were not taking proper reports. They were targeting and profiling in areas of color, East Salinas. And I can tell you, when the Department of Justice came into Salinas, the one place they did not go to meet with the people wasn't East Salinas. They went everywhere else. And I don't know that I fault them, because it was the city that was directing them where they should have their meetings. And not being from here and not setting those meetings up, they never went into the east side. Now I can imagine what that story was like. Don't go to the east side, you'll get shot. Which is a bunch of baloney. There are so many warm-hearted, loving people on the east side. As Chavo mentioned, it's the truth. There's so much culture there. And we need to embrace that culture. So at this point, I would like to talk about just a couple of things that I think need to happen in order for us to address these problems. First and foremost, I think that we need to be lobbying at the legislative level to do something about the Police Officers' Bill of Rights, which most people do not even know about. And that Bill of Rights was put through at the legislative level, and it allows police officers an extra added due process that the rest of us don't have. And if you're not aware of it, look it up. And that's why we have so much difficulty holding police officers accountable in a shooting. Last year alone, out of 1,200 shootings, only 2 police officers were held accountable. So that's not justice. And we are falling behind, and it's sad, because we need to be pushing more for transparency from the officers, and we need to be pushing that our officers also be held accountable when they themselves are abusing their authority under color of law. And that's what Joe Arpaio represents, and that's why Joe Arpaio needs to go. Not welcome in Arizona, not welcome in this Sunshine State. Thank you. Lock him up!
We love ICE.
Lock him up! Lock him up! Lock him up!
Camino Real de Colima, dicen que yo no lo sé. Camino Real de Colima, dicen que yo no lo sé. ¿Cómo no lo he de saber? Si en el camino me crié. ¿Cómo no lo he de saber? Si en el camino me crié. Camino Real de Colima.
No, he said, oh, it was on TV.
I'll challenge that. Yeah, I will look that up.
¡Qué bonito, está bonito, sí señor!
That he was proud to be
Camino Real de Colima, tiene mil altos y bajos. Camino Real de Colima, tiene mil altos y bajos. En compañía de mi chata, ando pasando trabajo. En compañía de mi chata, ando pasando trabajo. Camino Real de Colima. Manos para arriba y manos para abajo, sí señor.
I don't have to love. I want people to follow along. Well, they're breaking our sovereignty. Right? For that, let's follow the law. We have the right to decide who comes in. Right? That's why we have immigration law. Yeah. So I support, what I don't like are people illegally and then victimizing American citizens, which I have a lot of friends that But that's what I don't like. I want to protect Americans. I want to have a system of immigration that is best for America. Doesn't matter where you're from. I want the best people that love America, that want to come here for a better life. My family and I lived in Africa for several years. We were missionaries over there. There's a reason why most Africans still choose to come to America over any other country in the world. It's because we're the greatest country in the world with the most opportunity. And I support that. Anybody in this country, in the world that wants to come here and make a better life for themselves, that can prove that they can take care of themselves and not be a drain on our welfare system, I'm all for it. And the other ones, if people want to sponsor them, like my wife was sponsored, she came over from Laos legally through the refugee process, and she had to be sponsored. And there's great people that decided to I support that too. I want people, I support the whole law. You apply, so it depends on where you're at, it depends on your situation, if you're married, if you're, if you have children, so each situation is my wife through the refugee asylum process, but it all depends.
Shut down now.
No, it's a manipulation. So what's most of the time they get married because they're across the river. And then they claim kicked out at least. If you come into the port of entry and claim asylum the right way, but what people have realized is they come in and they say asylum rather than they use the same job, they'll be protected. They may be separated temporarily from their family if they again not come back together.
Solo la flor y lo mejor de cada instante viajé y disfruté no sé si más que otro cualquiera y así lo querré vivir a mi manera.
It's really hard to
o tal vez reír, tal vez gané, o tal vez perdí. Ahora sé que fui feliz, que lloré, también amé. Puedo seguir hasta el final.
I just want people to
a mi manera.
Well, you can think that, but it's not the truth. There may be people that feel that way, but I don't. So it's alternate truth, right? Well, no, I mean, what my intentions are, you know, you can feel that way, but it's not the truth. Alternate.
So Joe Arpaio was convicted, is that correct?
Of what?
Of various charges.
One, correct? What was it?
But he was
contempt of court.
Pardon is that correct?
Contempt of court because he wouldn't stop profiling based on race.
He wouldn't stop doing his job and upholding the Constitution.
His job is not to profile on the basis of race.
His job is to protect Americans and the Constitution, and he'll continue doing it. Oh yeah. Oh, law enforcement. Law enforcement. You don't think law enforcement? What is? Oh man, you guys. Law enforcement. No, but the fact that law enforcement. Unreasonable search. No, profiling is simply looking at the situation and making determination based on experience. Right? I mean, like to say that you don't profile. You profile me. You saw me walk up. You made an assumption about who I was. Immediately, based on what I was wearing. That's like saying don't use your brain. Like, don't look at people and make a judgment based on what they look like. Like, if I see an 80-year-old lady in a wheelchair roll up, or a 20-year-old guy that looks like a truck, I'm probably gonna like, hey, that guy's right now. You know, I mean, that's
en tu vivir, no hay por qué hablar, ni qué decir,
every single law enforcement agency is good. Every single law enforcement agency in the world profiles.
puedo seguir hasta el
Yeah, sure. Do you guys, anyone else want to do it? Yeah, sure.
So ahora tenemos a Lauro Barajas. Now we have Lauro Barajas.
Good morning. So look, well, good afternoon then. So look, I'm so glad that we have mariachis here. Let's give it applause, please. See, in a day like this, it's important that we enjoy ourselves. We need to keep fighting, but not sad. Not like Arpaio with hate. We have love. We have strength. And we're going to continue forward defending ourselves and our community. So I'm so proud that we are here, and I really feel sorry that we have Arpaio here in this town, because he's a little poor man, because he hates. Someone who hates other people just for the color or the language that other people talk, how they look, that's insane. And that's what we have here right now. So, but the thing is that when he was a sheriff, instead of protecting the community, he was harassing. He was harassing our community, and community who came to work to feed their families. So they're not criminals. They're poor people who are working every day to sustain their families. So that's why he's not welcome here, and he needs to get out of here. Amen. So, like I said, I think it was a great idea to have mariachi and the taco truck here, because we cannot buy the hate of Mr. Arpaio. He can keep it. But let's make no mistakes. We don't buy hate, but we will fight again on justice.
That's right!
So what we need now is unity. We need solidarity. We need compassion. We need music. And we need joy. Let's continue having this great day, and not forget that we need to fight when we need to fight. Thank you.
There's a man in our jail right now coming in. I think that parents, if you're truly seeking asylum, like my wife did from housing earlier, you would go through the right process and go to the front door and go to the port of entry rather than coming across the legal enforcement. So I blame the parents. I'd love to see immigration folks. I'd love to see them verified and keep people from this community that want to get away in our country. I'd love to see the wall built. I'd love to see stop chain migration and stop birthright citizenship. There's a lot of things that we can do to stop the inflow of illegal aliens coming into our country that will incentivize them getting in line and doing it the right way. That was public radio out of Bay Area or in Monterey. You didn't look like you enjoyed my Okay, so disregard the facial expression. Now, and then the other is Telemundo. Watch out for Telemundo, guys. Yes. Families do not belong in cages. So tell their parents not to break the law. And they won't, their parents won't go in a cage, and their children won't go in foster care. Most of the pictures that we see on the internet of children in cages are actually staged by the Democrats. Really what children are when they're separated from their criminal parents and broken into our country is basically a temporary foster care. Unfortunately, foster care that they haven't been brought home from. Well, another parent has to make a sovereignty, come in the front door. If somebody came to your house and snuck through the back door and left your children with them, would you say come on in, or would you say, you know what, I'm going to have you arrested and we're going to separate your children from you? You don't have to. I mean, that's the response I can get. 10 or 11? 483. Now, are you changing your mind? You want to talk now? No. Yeah, do it. Vote red, baby. Red tsunami. Red tsunami. Do you? Which race? That you take over the Senate? That you take over the House? I don't have enough money. I'm not a rich liberal. A privileged liberal. So you can afford to get all those. I got a sponsor. Yeah. Because I come out here and do this. Yeah. So you can't afford it yourself. Well, you talk about rich liberals, but you can't afford to actually go to listen to I mean, I could if I chose to, but I didn't, because I got an invitation. But I will bet you that we don't lose the House or the Senate. Watch on Frontline America. Someone else can take out the dinner or something. Can I come and then I come on Frontline America. Easy wages. I do too. I want to work. What were the odds that Hillary was going to win? 90%? Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I pray that the people are smart enough to vote red. I got you. I appreciate that. I'm not the guy you're going to make it on the show. It's not like a woman shouldn't be my So if I had to spend on it, oh, I do. That's your They're actually not that bad. Somebody said it's supposed to be. He's a capitalist. That's right. Not a communist. Common ground. Capitalism works. Reject communism. Hey, we found some common ground. White silence equals white consent. All lives matter.
Black lives matter. All lives matter when we acknowledge them.
Do they more matter?
So we've been treating them like they matter less for about 400 years. No, black lives have been treated like they matter less. Actually, yeah, my family has benefited a lot.
Well, Democrats have. They've kept them as victims. They were the slaveholders, and then they supported segregation.
Everybody were slaveholders.
No, that's not. Only about 9% of the
Yeah, we all
population.
know that there was a flip.
There wasn't. That's a lie. It's a myth.
Okay.
The flip is a myth. But only about, I'll give you a higher odds, 10% of the population were slaveholders.
They
were rich liberals. No, it's just true.
Talk over us. That's fine. You want to sound good, you want to sound smart, go for it. No, I don't actually want to talk to you.
My family has actually benefited from slavery, and it's everything that's come since then for years and years, and so has everybody who's white in this country. And the sooner we acknowledge it,
So has every country in the world.
Yeah, there's
They weren't all black slaves.
There's a lot of colonialism.
Irish slaves.
Where
does slavery? Hang on. How about the election laws right now? If black lives really matter, where does slavery still exist? Here in America. Black people are. Well, you're right. Democrats. Well, yes, you're absolutely right. You're right. Mainly from what country? The cartels. All over the globe.
The prisons.
Yeah, I stand against sex trafficking. You're right. That is the one slavery that still exists in America, is sex trafficking. But where does slavery that we think of slavery still exist? Mostly. Africa and the Middle East. Election laws. If you care about black lives, you would care about the black lives.
Did I say I didn't?
No, I'm just saying. No, you're talking about slavery that hasn't existed in America for 200 years. 1876.
And then what happened after that?
Right.
What happened after slavery ended?
Segregation by the Democrats.
By the white people.
Right, and where are they from? White Democrats. White Democrats.
No, actually by pretty much everybody.
Why is it? I have a lot of black shows. I have a lot of friends of all colors. I do. All of my friends. What's that?
Do they listen to you?
They love me, and I do. Yeah, but I don't judge on the color of skin, I judge on the content and character. Wow. They receive more racism from the left, and this is a fact. I've seen it. They're called coconuts, they're called coons, they're called sellouts for being, Uncle Tom's for being conservative. Why'd she walk away? She didn't want to hear that point. Why are they all walking away? They don't want to hear the point. But you're still here, and you're still here.
Let's talk facts.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a history.
Okay. We're going to talk. Yes.
It's
okay. He's okay.
I'm going to give you the history.
Thank you. I totally appreciate it. Keep an eye on the back. Ooh, hang on. The 13th Amendment. Is that what you're going to bring up? Are you going to use the 13th Amendment? Because I love that one.
No, I just was correcting.
Okay.
But anyway.
Because a lot of times liberals try to say that incarceration is the same as slavery.
I don't say that.
Okay, I just thought that might be what you were going to say.
Yeah, right.
Right, so, but what do you think about private prisons then? Prison for profit?
I'm mixed on private prisons, honestly. I think most things in the private sector run more efficiently than they do in the public sector.
Okay. Do you think we're trying to rehabilitate and correct people?
I think our prison system, most people that go into prison come out worse than when they went in.
It's not true. My husband was a teacher for 35 years.
So you support prisons?
I support good education within prison.
Like rehabilitation.
Yes, people deserve a second chance with skills to come back out and contribute. A lot of his students, don't interrupt me, which a lot of his students have...
You said F. But go ahead.
Yeah, I lost it. I'm angry. I'm really scared for my country and all the people in it. That's
I understand that.
It's just, I'm scared. I just wanted to ask you, who else, what other really good Republicans could these women have invited to be a wonderful speaker?
Well, they brought Charlie Kirk from Turning Point. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Charlie Kirk.
He's in there.
Yeah.
Why
They've got
is
3
iOS
others.
the main speaker? Why is
Yeah.
removed from
Well,
his job?
I think the same fear that he has, I would say on our side we have the same fear. I'm afraid of our system being undermined. Our rule of law being undermined.
Is our system good? Is it fair?
Rule of law, it's the best system in the world.
How about the corporations?
It's got a lot of problems. If people are homeless and people can't afford a college education, if black people are murdered in the streets by policemen, if people can't afford a college education.
Are you saying all black people that are killed? I know, no. Let me ask you though, the whole Black Lives Matter narrative, are all black people that get killed by police? Some of them are
Sometimes, but we have
right. There are some examples.
19 last year. 19.
So how was our system? Trump and his 1% of the people who make money. We have people without homes. Have you been to inner cities with single mothers who can't feed their children and have to give them money? Yeah, but you were able to support your children. They work 3 jobs. I know kids with moms have 3 jobs.
What's your
That's a place to start. He's out.
Why?
He has no experience. No, please shut up! Shut up! People are starving in this country.
Unemployment.
California as a state isn't doing anything, but they're spending $24 billion. After school camps are mentally, he's cut. I can't think of so bad.
Let's bring it down.
What is the free Head Start? He's cut money for Head Start. He's cut special ed programs for children. After-school care for children. He wants to cancel the Dreamers program. He has said that the mental health program is
What about the vets that have to get?
by at least one woman and many others have broken his program.
You're talking about allegations.
Oh, you think Trump has stopped having sex outside?
I'm just saying, I don't think you don't know.
Stormy Daniels.
She's a whore.
Paid her $130,000.
She's a hooker.
So that exonerates?
You're getting paid for sex.
Come on. I don't support her lifestyle, but he paid her off $130,000 and I love it.
Wow, but he's a Christian, all right?
I believe he's turned.
He's a bad businessman. He's had how many bankruptcies? He's lost so many businesses.
Wow.
And president of the best country in the world.
Amen.
He has no experience in government. Have you ever held
Thank the Lord.
He lies. He has a compulsive liar. Yesterday he said we don't have any in Puerto Rico. That was the numbers were very, yeah. But he lies on his own benefit.
Hey, I appreciate you talking. That's okay. No, you don't listen. There's silence. There's silence. It's a safe place, man. Safe place, man. Safe place.
¿Saben qué? I want to invite this lady right here. I want to invite this lady right here, 2 of them. That way they can read your sign. Come over here. Come over here. Yeah, come on.
Yes, come on. Yeah. Be right here, and then you read your sign over here, okay? You have to read your sign to everybody. Para que lo lean y para que lo escuchen. Venga para acá. Come over here. Come over here. Yeah. Just do the light to everybody. See? This sign is really beautiful. All the signs are beautiful, but this one is one of the best. Yes. Because this is why we're here today, no? Okay. Just read your sign really loud, okay? Ready? Clear. Read it out. Just a moment. Okay. 1, 2. Wait a minute. Don't put your, right here, that way everybody can see, that way they can see your face, okay? Here, no, just a moment. I'm going to put the microphone, and you say it loud and clear. Ready?
Okay. No fear, no hate, no Arpaio here. I may not have got his name right.
Arpaio, that's good. Yeah, his name doesn't care. Don't worry about the name. The important thing is the no hate, no Arpaio here. That's good. An applause to her over here. Say yours. A ver, vamos a ver aquí ella también que nos diga. Póngase aquí, right here in the bottom, right there. And remember your sign? Remember what you said right there? You will convince. She woke up really early to do a beautiful sign. We'll do it right here. Come on.
A racist might pardon a racist, but I do not.
Yes, excellent. Beautiful. Come over here, come over here. This is another sign, beautiful sign right here. And she's gonna, if you can read it, you can read it, but mainly it's because you're gonna say it. And that's important, okay? Really loud.
I'm standing here with other members of my faith community to say we are standing on the side of love with immigrant families.
Yes! Yes, come on over with your sign, come on. We are listening all the, that way you can not read it, but just listen with the heart how they want to say it. Así que vamos a pedirle a ella también que nos hable y que nos diga con mucho cariño. Vamos a ver. Really loud, okay? Here.
What would John McCain say?
Yeah. Yes. Les, come on over. Mi amigo, come on over here. Venga para acá. Come over here. Let's put right here. And then, okay. Beautiful. This is another one right here. We're going to invite all the signs. And these are tennis shoes on the bottom. A ver, let's see. You want to see it? Okay, you say it.
Walk in their shoes.
Yes. Walk in the shoes. Look at right here. How beautiful. Aplausos, aplausos, aplausos. Thank you very much. Okay, my friend, amigo, venga para acá. This is another one right here. Another one. Beautiful. Okay? Say it loud. Put it down. That way everybody can see it. Yeah. Now say it with all your heart.
Resist Trump's fascism.
Yeah. Beautiful. Come over here. In the back, come on. All the signs right here, eh? Yeah, venga para acá, para que lo diga aquí qué es lo que quiere decir usted con eso. Come on. Say it.
Slavery also separated.
Let's do it again, okay? That way everybody can hear. Here, say it.
Slavery also separated families. In Spanish, esclavitud también separó familias.
El aplauso.
We, right now, with these beautiful mariachis, are going to leave the microphone here because that's what we cannot take the microphone over there. And these mariachis, we're going to follow behind them while they play a lovely tune. And we are going to position ourselves closer to the event, right? We're going to come down here, and this is where we're going to move things. And if people want to speak, it won't be with a microphone. Everybody welcome, but we need to let them know that we are here and not over here. We need to let them know. We need to make our voices heard while they are speaking as well. Sound good?
That sounds good. And we're going to invite everybody to come over here to keep reading the beautiful signs para que regresen aquí por favor al mismo lugar afterwards. Come back over here. Okay, so the mariachi is going to go in the front and you guys come in like with your signs up and singing with us really loud, eh? Come on over. Gracias.
Jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. The people united will never be divided. The people united will never be divided. The people united will never be divided. The people
You're on fire today.
Huh?
You're on fire today.
I guess so.
Well, you gotta do something, right?
Rocking the house. No, just a couple hundred. Estimate. Yeah, it wasn't much. What was your estimate? I'm really hard. De colores, pues. De colores.
A couple hundred.
I would say so, yeah. I will say so. At least. Coming in and out. Todos cantando Beli. De colores se visten los campos de la primavera. Una cumbia. Los éxitos de Gran Miguel. ¿Cuál Miguel? Another chat.
Who else is here?
Sí, sí, on. Everybody repeat this. 1, 2, 3. No fear, no hate, no fire. No fear, no hate, no fear, no hate, no Arpaio here. 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 Beautiful.
Nice to see you. Deborah is my mom. Deborah's Smith.
Who dijo no when they can read it? This is another good one. This is another good one. Put it up. This is another good one, everybody. Ready? Everybody read that one. Power. Ready? Right. 1, 2, 3. Arpaio, you belong in the case. 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 Very good, thank you. La Diana 2 veces. La Diana 2 veces primero. John, ahora, ya voy. Ahora. Está muy largo, yo no lo puedo leer. ¡Vámonos! ¡Vámonos! Sol. La.
Guadalajara para terminar. ¡Vámonos!
Where's the circle?
Guillermo, racing this way, el circo. ¡Vámonos! Guadalajara, ahí está bien. Ahí donde está. ¡Vámonos! ¡Vámonos! Make circle, vámonos. Go, go, go.
Lock him up! Lock him up!
Yeah, we're gonna drop these guys.
Okay, let's.
Hateful feminist comes up and says, "Is this a serious?" Terrible. I think Steve.
Gotta say that.
Don't vote for her!
That was this silencer. This is the person who doesn't like the First Amendment. He's silencing women. Hashtag me too. I love you. I love you. You saw that with your own eyes. He silenced you.
If we can please have everyone move over here, ignore. This is our designated spot. Come on. Let's go over there with Elizabeth. Let's go. Come on, everyone.
Why are you silencing women?
There's a drone up there too.
Reject feminism, guys. It's a lie. The sad thing about it is that feminism is killing me.
We don't even talk to them.
They give them exactly what they want.
Yeah, we're still feeding them too much.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a wonderful day of protest and questioning of our friend in the building over there. While I appreciate the diversity and wide array of people that we've had shown up, don't we think we've given fucking Trump enough energy for one day?
Yes.
So maybe we come back up, check out the grass, watch the music, enjoy a taco, and not buy into our friends from Breitbart and the other clowns with the flags. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm going to actually read two poems. One is a poem that I wrote, and the other is a poem by my comadre Aidee Medina, who is from East Salinas. The first poem is about something that is very central to how we look at people and how we understand people. We currently have an opiate crisis in our country And when it is in wealthier communities, it is called addiction. And when it is in poorer communities, it is called criminal activity. And if you are a person of color, on top of it, one of my closest friends was the great grandson of Jose Castro, General Jose Castro, who was also one of the last alcaldes of California before California became a state. He passed away on April Fool's Day, 2015. I'm still waiting for someone to say April Fools. This is a poem that I wrote for him. It's called Comfort of the Dead. I dreamt of the dead last night for the second time this week. A most rare vision. Past the wit of man to say what dream it was, but I am that lunatic lover and poet, delicately warped and feminine. We were at a play that was being performed in a big auditorium with red, white, and blue seats. He had arrived early. He wasn't high. He didn't even have a beer with him. He had arrived early and was waiting for me. He even saved me a seat. The show was sold out. It was a performance of Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice. Once upon a time, he ground-scored an entire pocketbook collection of Shakespeare for me because he knew that I loved Shakespeare. I was running late in self-pity and despair. Then the realization set in. Yes, we had a new president, but he was still alive. He had never died. He was alive and he was waiting for me in an auditorium where we were going to watch a performance of A Merchant of Venice. I panicked to find my seat. He wasn't angry that I was late. He held my hand and whispered in my ear that of course he would hold a seat for me. He would always hold a seat for me. He said all that he said when he was alive, that his white name did not matter. He would always be proud of his brown skin. It did not matter what the historians could or could not dig up. His family had been here since before there were borders, before this was even a state, and was just a place with a made-up name. First, we were generals and governors. Then, we were bad hombres. All that glitters isn't gold. The only thing that had changed was that he no longer said anything about his punk rock nihilism or wanting to watch the world burn. The only thing he said he wanted to do was watch that play, watch Shylock say, "Hath not a Jew eyes?" And as the curtain rose, he whispered, "Aurelia Lorca, you of all people should know, the poem is the thing to love for eternity." And this is the second poem that's by my friend, another friend, it's by another friend, ID Medina, and it's in response to a question that I had about the word liberty. Who is liberty for in this country? And this is what she responded with. My freedom doesn't come at the cost of your freedom. My liberty doesn't seek to set your liberty on fire, lynch your liberty from trees, round up and imprison your liberty, run you over where you stand demanding liberty. My freedom does not want to devour your freedom, does not want your freedom's land, your freedom's labor to make her rich. My freedom does not want to separate you from your loved ones, does not smell of reservations, chain gangs, concentration camps, and guest worker permits. My liberty does not want you to forget where your ancestors came from or bite your tongue off to bury your language. My freedom does not want to tax away your love of a God, tear down your centers of worship, does not want to smite you where you stand. My freedom does not rape, does not shoot you in the forehead at my gate, does not disband your castration. My liberty is spacious, is future seeding. My liberty wants to feed you, wants to steward waterways, wells for us to drink. My freedom wants to heal, wants to live. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job.
So at this point, I'd like to call any of you here in this crowd. Let's be very specific. If you want to say some words, you may come up here.
My name is Karen Araujo. It was June of 2010. I was with people from all over the nation, from my congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Monterey Peninsula is where I worship. But I was with other Unitarian Universalists, people of faith from all over the nation who had gathered for an annual conference in Phoenix, Arizona. It was controversial, us being there, because the vile and vicious Sheriff Joe Arpaio was wreaking havoc on the human beings, the lives of precious people in Maricopa County and beyond. There are some people who thought we should cancel our convention and not go there, not go to a state, to a county, to a town that was supporting such human rights violations, that was celebrating this criminal behavior. After much debate, we decided we would go and have our convention there, and we committed to supporting local businesses owned by people of color. We partnered with PICO and other local groups to say, how may we be of service while we are here meeting in your community? We planned public witness on how we would respond to the tent city that Sheriff Arpaio had set up. At a certain point during our time there, the buses rolled up, and after much time spent learning how to remain unengaged with the counter-protesters we expected to meet us, having the wisdom of our elders who schooled us in non-engagement and non-violent resistance, we gathered on the buses. I was traveling alone, so while there were thousands of people in line to get on the buses and make their way, I had gone down a stairway as I exited the building, and I was prepared to go to the end of the line when, at the very first bus, they said, one? Do we have party of one? Nobody in line said anything, so it was me. I ended up being in one of the front seats of the very first buses that went to Arpaio's tent city to protest. They told us to not engage. They taught us a song, and they told us to keep singing the song over and over. And the song is, when I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. And they said, this is going to be hard to do because people are going to be yelling at you. They're going to be yelling lies about the good people that are being tortured in those tents by that vile Sheriff Arpaio. Keep singing, stay together. Hand in hand, they had a row of ministers and lay leaders who had been trained extensively in protecting us. They held hands so they could make a thoroughfare for us to walk from the buses. Across the street were people with signs. I do not want to sully your ears with what they had on their signs, but the hate was clear. And what they were yelling at us, despite our singing, when I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. Despite the fact that we were there as people of faith to bear witness to what was going on, the hate was spewing at us. The first thing I remember seeing when they got close were 4 men who appeared to be white, who had guns. I don't know much about guns. Maybe they were rifles. They were, I don't know what they were. They were long, scary-looking guns, and they were shaking them at me, and yelling at me, and cursing at me. And I kept singing. And with the thousands of people, we gathered outside the tent city. We kept singing for 2 hours as all the buses came. Then a bunch of our ministers went into the tent city to see what was going on with a prearranged tour. They were told not to engage with the prisoners. Some of them had no shoes on in over 100-degree heat, and they had no shoes, and they were in tents. And their source of water was not cooled, so you can imagine how hot the temperature of the limited water they had. They were dressed in a way that was meant to dehumanize them and humiliate them. And they were treated worse than animals in these tent cities. From the man that is being celebrated in that room right now. When the minister came out, she told us they were not supposed to engage with the people along the way, but she made eye contact. And you could see the tears in people's eyes. You could sense, because she is a compassionate person with a heart, the desperation in the gazes of the people incarcerated. Now, mind you, some of these people, they're there because they can't make bail, for some, they're not even convicted of anything. And we shouldn't even treat convicted people like that, right? But so horrible. And she said also that they could hear what we were singing, because by that point we all arrived, so we started chanting along with this awesome women's duo called Emma's Revolution that was there to be with us, and we were all yelling, "Shut down, Tent City! No more Sheriff Joe!" And we were yelling that, and they could hear us. Our hearts were lifted. Subsequently, when he was convicted of numerous crimes, violations against human rights, as he should be, that man, and I do not use this word lightly, is vile. Somewhere in him, he must have goodness. Somewhere in him, he must know that what he's doing is wrong, but I don't see that. I see him doubling down. And when he was pardoned by the occupant of the White House, it only increased his belief that what he is doing and what he has done and what he stands for is not wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong at the heart of everything that is human, that is right. I cannot believe a group of women is celebrating him. Joe Arpaio and what he stands for and what he holds up is not welcome in this community. Go away, Joe Arpaio. We don't want you here. We do not side with you. We side with love. We side with immigrant families. We side with justice.
Thank you for that. And now we have Patrice Vicchioni.
This is a poem by the El Salvadoran writer Rogue Dalton, who was murdered for being a poet. First in Spanish and then in English. Como tú. Yo como tú. Amo el amor, la vida, el dulce encanto de las cosas, el pasaje celeste de los días de enero. También mi sangre bulle y río por los ojos que han conocido el brote de las lágrimas. Creo que el mundo es bello, que la poesía es como el pan de todos. Y mis venas no terminan en mi sino en la sangre unánime de los que luchan por la vida, el amor, las cosas, el pasaje y el pan, la poesía de todos. And in English, it's called Like You. Like you, I love life. I love love, the sweet smell of things, the sky blue landscape of January days, and my blood boils up and I laugh through eyes that have known the buds of tears. I believe the world is beautiful and that poetry, like bread, is for everyone. And that my veins don't end in me, but in the unanimous blood of those who struggle for life, love, little things, landscape, and bread, the poetry of everyone. Thank you.
Anyone else from this crowd that wants to come up here and say some words while you're here with us today? This is your time. Thank you.
Well, this is a first. I don't usually talk in front of crowds. I just showed up. I hope that there were a lot more people here before now. It's kind of depressing to see so many cars out there. But it does sound like maybe it was better before. Yeah, thank you. My husband is a farmer in Salinas. Every day I walk out of my house and I see farm workers in the fields, bent over, cutting lettuce, hoeing weeds, cleaning ditches. Anyway, I'm just in shock that all those cars are in the parking lot. When we live in a community that is so dependent on immigrants, I am outraged. I am pissed off. I am sad, very sad, and shaking because I don't usually talk in public, but I am so fed up. I want respect for the people that work in Monterey County. I want respect for the people picking our food, cleaning our houses. Joe Arpaio is the antithesis of everything that I believe and I respect and I love about our community, and I am ashamed of the women in that building right now who are supporting his hatred and his racism. I am fed up. I am sad. I've had enough. We need to vote. We need to get rid of this hatred and racism. Oh, that's all. It feels good to vent. I'm so sick of it. Hang in there. We can do this. We can make a difference. Just don't give up.
I have one thing to say. It's my hope. It's my hope.
You wake up tomorrow, Trump is your president. Alright, we're gonna go back in. Got that shirt, Joe?
Do we have anyone else that wants to come up here? Come on. I know someone wants to come up here, they're just not willing to.
So I was asked to read more poems, which I didn't plan on doing, but I will. I've been studying immigration history on the Monterey Peninsula. My grandparents were from immigrant families from the south of Spain, Andalusia, and they came here via Hawaii sugar plantations. And
you got this.
There's a lot of silence. My family comes from a country that had 36-year fascist dictatorship. And before that, 400 years of the Inquisition, which was a form of Holocaust. Lately, I've been studying about the crypto-Jews that came over and were in solidarity with the indigenous people. They were crucified, literally crucified. So I feel like I'm in a place of privilege in history right now to be able to speak, or at least I had been feeling that. I was going to read you a poem about Cannery Row and this history, but my dad, who's almost 78 years old, gets really, really terrified when I talk about these things. He knows this history. He says, don't talk about it. Don't talk about the past. And that terror is real. And that terror is what he lived with. And out of respect, I'm not going to read that one. But I can talk to you about Lorca. And I can read my poem about the worst jukebox in the world. And Federico Garcia Lorca. So, here it is. No quiero nada, solo escuchar la peor gramola del mundo contigo y perder las horas por tus risas. No quiero nada, excepto perderme en el sonido de tu voz y caer al vacío al ritmo de cada una de tus sílabas. Incierto, desconocido y así amable. Tus palabras son tranquilizadoras, cuidadosas, pausadas. Las comas son perfectas cuando tú escribes. No quiero nada, excepto que me busques buscándote, esperando ser tu espejo. The worst jukebox in the entire world lives in a corner at the Lipo Lounge in San Francisco's Chinatown with the ghosts of Allen Ginsberg and Kenneth Rexroth screaming silently. Here in Grenada, door to the east in Africa, we are talking about what's at stake in poetry. And I'm looking out the windows at the hills in the distance where Federico Garcia Lorca's body is buried with thousands of others. And I find myself thinking about the worst jukebox in the world and how the poets once wanted to throw it into the middle of Grant Avenue and sing our own songs instead. It was 2004, June, during the North Beach Festival, when the organizers unplugged from the poetry stage because the poets were too provocative. Everything then seemed like it was falling apart. Hurricane Katrina hadn't happened yet, but there was the war in Iraq and Halliburton and Guantanamo Bay and torture. I can't remember what happy love songs the jukebox was playing. I can't remember because happy love songs are never worth remembering. But I remember Alan King, who wrote Yes, You Can Ask Me About Hip Hop. I remember Christopher Casarino, who wrote about clown magic and the bitter oranges in his father's garden. I remember Joe Pachinko, who wrote about the dystopias of SUVs and babies, and the jukebox was making us all mad. Yesterday, the writer Zarina Zabriskie wrote me from Vienna that we are all witnessing a historical moment and not a good one. Hence, we have to write the shit out of it. The summer began with fathers, brothers, sons murdered by police, teachers massacred in Oaxaca, suicide bombers in Istanbul, Baghdad, even the mosque in Medina under siege, amid the never-ending farts of nationalism and that Danish separatist president with the same Oompa Loompa orange fake tan and peroxide hair. Time is pendular, but the world now seems more unraveled than ever. Meanwhile, I just want to be the poet calling for for love to be true amid confused alarms of struggle and flight and ignorant armies who clash by night. But I am forever the Dover bitch. Big hair, big butt, big boobs and legs that I am too depressed and or lazy to shave. I met a man who reminded me of the beatific exaltation of flesh into spirit. Mary Magdalene, he says, is his patron saint. Like a red jewel, he said about the red planet he also saw in the night sky. Not Mars, but Jupiter, laughing at us all. I write him poems in Spanish about the worst jukebox in the world that I never sent. Thank you.
Who do you think?
I'm not quite sure. I mean, it's a big sign. How are you?
It doesn't have to be against anything. It's against the idea of racism.
I agree with that completely.
I live here and I'm very curious to see who has such a weird, from my perspective, point of view that they would support that.
Would you say Donald Trump is a racist?
Yes, absolutely, without a doubt.
What would be your evidence of that?
If you don't know, there's no point in discussing.
Can you give me
No, I don't.
How about the cabinet? How many people of color are on the cabinet?
No, can you give me one piece of evidence? Just one.
The cabinet.
No, one piece of evidence.
Really need to talk.
No, you don't. But can you give me one piece of evidence of Donald Trump being a racist?
Tell me why you support Donald Trump.
Just one.
Tell me why you support Donald Trump. Why do you
Lowest ever
support
black
Donald Trump?
unemployment rate, largest middle class tax cut in American history, lowest ever Hispanic unemployment rates, lowest women unemployment rate in 60 years, lowest youth unemployment rate in 50 years. Denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula, moving the embassy to Jerusalem, withdrawing from TPP, first time that America's energy independent, no longer relying on Saudi Arabia or Russia for oil, getting NATO to
None of this is
well, which of those facts that I just said?
Where do you get your news?
Well, actually, from independent sources
No, you
that
don't.
you would agree from.
No, you don't.
Well, wait, what did I just say that's untrue?
Everything.
Name one. You know, it's the lowest ever black unemployment rate. Wow. So you would say Donald Trump is Hitler. Wow. Did you say Donald Trump is Hitler?
Did you hear me say
She said it. I'm just interested. Can you name one racist thing he said?
Yes, plenty, but there's
Name
no
one.
point in doing it with you.
I like black people.
Just one. Ask one.
Ask Omarosa.
No, can you ask me one racist thing that he has said? Anyone can name any racist thing he said?
Yeah.
Can you name one racist? Because you have a sign that says racism is not a virtue.
This land is yours.
No, I agree, but Donald Trump's the furthest thing from racism.
How far is furthest?
California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land is made for you and me.
I love that song. I just would like. I will leave if you guys can tell me one thing he said that's racist.
This my land, from California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest.
His very first thing when he says that they're all racists and rapists and criminals, murderers.
I'm trying to think what some other.
But no, can you name one racist thing he's done or said?
Yeah, his very first speech when he says they're all rapists and criminals.
Never said that. Read the transcript. Just said that there are racists.
Right, okay,
there are
so
racists coming across the southern
We
border.
shall overcome someday.
No, I was just asking.
You're playing words, but what about intention?
I'm addressing the.
You talking about being God-fearing? Do you even know who God is? What is God? God is love. God is forgiving.
Correct. God is real. That I do agree with.
Right? Okay. Then why reject more people than you accept?
America takes in half of all the immigrants every single year. of the entire world.
Right, begrudgingly, of course, right? Because we actually don't treat people well. Hey, so we go and we fight for democracy around the world, and then when we get back, we say, women, get back in your box. Colored, get back in your box. Is that what we're bringing back?
Sheriff Joe.
Arpaio, you're going to hell. You racist.
Well, I will give you guys one last chance. Is there one thing you could tell me that Donald Trump has said or done that's racist? Because you all called him a racist.
Oh gosh, here we go. Oh. Well, yes. And please, let's be respectful.
He's just trying to engage us.
Yes, exactly.
What does your sign mean?
Let's lock hands. Can we lock hands? Let's lock hands.
That's wrong. I'm not a good.
We're all peaceful.
We're all get your story straight.
Security.
Slander.
We shall overcome.
Do I know me? I don't know anybody.
We shall overcome.
They all said they wanted to.
I asked them for one racist thing Trump has done.
Deep in my heart,
They've given away we're trying to figure that out.
we shall
They sing, not well, but they sing.
You want to overcome the lowest ever Hispanic unemployment rate, or overcome the lowest ever Black unemployment rate, or overcome 4.1% GDP rate, or
we shall
overcome America being energy independent, or overcome more job openings, people to fill those jobs, or that's all that you want to overcome? Just making sure. Or overcome the lowest tax rate since 1970, or overcome economic growth that's totally unprecedented.
I don't understand it. Tell us, what are you overcoming?
We shall not afraid.
They laugh. We're out here dancing, saying Trump, we love Joe, we love Trump. Trump is your president. 6 more years. You wake up tomorrow morning, Trump will be your president. And slowly they started to leave. I know.
I'm going back to Phoenix.
We love Joe. We love Joe. We love Joe. God bless you, Joe. God bless you, Joe. Oh, yes, he is. All day long. Welcome to California. ICE is good. We love ICE.
You guys aren't just
Reject the lies of the left, guys. What's that?
You guys aren't just kidding. You're getting some tacos.
I love tacos. I love tacos. I got no problem with tacos. You guys have an opportunity. Joe came out. Anyone want to say anything? We have a taker. She might want to say something.
I'm sorry, you're not a sheriff anymore. I was talking to the gentleman over there.
Now she's.
What do you want the sheriff for?
He's getting aggressive, so you need to keep an eye on.
Who's getting
That's all I wanted to say.
aggressive?
Okay. We shall overcome.
Is that all you're going to say? Anybody want to say that? Let's have a conversation.
Go back home.
We shall overcome someday. What's that?
You guys are doing like actual evil things start to happen in America.
That's to you guys.
I'm sorry?
That's to you guys.
How about hurting people on purpose?
Well, no, I don't.
Don't engage.
What do you mean?
Should we do one round of no?
What do you mean you guys? I am.
Okay, go. No. Hey.
I'm sorry.
Goodbye.
I'm sorry.
No.
What kind of guy are you?
Hey.
You mean legal?
Goodbye.
No, you should love Sheriff Trump.
No.
Because he was just enforcing.
Goodbye.
It was wrong.
He made up his own law.
quieres comer un crunch like you, man.
Well, like me, what crime did I commit?
No, I know.
No, what did I do?
He's just a troll. He's just like Facebook trolls, you know?
Like, what crime did I do?
You get paid to do this. How much you get paid for this?
I do it for free. So, what crime did I commit?
Don't engage. Okay, I don't have a strong together.
So I guess I committed a crime for
What you
what
have to do?
I said.
How much you get paid? So we can pay.
I'm here for free. Volunteer.
We've been singing these songs since age 60. Yeah. Born into it. All right. Born into it. Okay. All right. I just don't want.
You guys want to gather maybe? Should we gather and do a little closing? Somebody want to do a little who's good at the blessings?
I think we should still pray.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. All right. Wes, you join us?
Actually, can I read? Actually,
Yeah, we should all pray together.
I'd like to read. Actually, this is the Lord's Prayer.
But you're praying to hurt people. How is that a prayer?
The same God.
How is that a prayer?
I was at the Sabbath and it was really moved that it was all in 50 different languages.
I'm not sure which God you really serve.
Including Catalan. I think.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
And God would be a forgiving God, not a hurtful, hateful God.
That's right. That's why President Trump forgave Sheriff Joe and pardoned him.
Okay.
No, that's not right.
Still convicted.
It's just mafia. They're mafia.
It's still a conviction. It's an admission of guilt.
What mafia?
Vámonos.
Sorry.
Vaya con Dios.
Usted también. Y con el diablo también.
So it's actually the.
Oh, he said essay at the end.
Okay. So this is actually the prayer of St. Francis. Pardon me. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is error, truth. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. Grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than be loved.
Good job, everybody. Thank you. All drive home safely. That includes you too, Sheriff. Be safe. And that includes all the parks people too. Under John Laird. My buddy John Laird.